would have been the right course here, but definitely true that CE had the superior draft. And speaking of CE and going for things, well, they're taking us to Towers of Doom. The first time I think we're going to witness that map today. And since Monday, we haven't actually seen it yesterday.
I believe you are correct. So we're heading to it right now. This is CE's old stomping ground, but SPT have looked very good on it the last year. So let's see what they can do as we head in with Genji being the first ban, once again trying to limit the hero pool of Alufal.
That they will try to do. An unleashed Genji on Alufal is always a scary thing to face. Now, Towers of Doom, of course, has a couple of unique heroes that are doing really well in that battleground. Abathur would be one of them, for example. Medivh could be another one. And SPT has played both of those heroes in the past. So let's see if they're going to try to bust out something a little more exotic. I don't think they're going to go double support again.
I mean, if they're going double support, Abathur is... You can very rarely go wrong with Abathur being your second support. So I would hope that that is the second ban of CE. With Hanzo banned out, once again, targeting all the damage dealers. And yeah, I stick with my statement. CE should just straight up ban Abathur here.
Absolutely true. So it looks like Zeron is still in the booth during those drafts, currently kneeling next to Wind, as you can see on the webcam there.
Furion.
Oh, Furion getting taken out. Okay.
How much do they prioritize the Abathur with this kind of draft coming into play?
You know, the problem also being here, like, if you ban Malfurion, you're trying to either force a reaction by the enemy team, prioritizing a first pick Decker Kane, because those two heroes are considered to be the tip-top supports at the moment. But by doing so, you could just punish the Decker Kane. You can punish it. Like, if you play hyper-aggressively like you did last game, like RPG played in the previous series, you can sometimes cause so much damage that the old man just simply won't be able to keep it up.
So we're starting off, once again, with the Phoenix. Alufal, despite maybe not being as good as his Genji or stuff like that, he still seems very comfortable on that Phoenix, so very little issues there. No Yorel, Dahaka being prioritized due to that global potential here for the KTY. The KTY. For KTY.
It is the KTY.
I mean, yeah, there is only one of them, and it is a pretty good one at that, so we do not need a second. Thank you very much, we're good.
I still want to know what KTY stands for, if it stands for anything at all. That would be nice to find out.
It was a preemptive name for the release of everyone's favorite paladin, and it stands for Kill the Yorel.
You know,
and there we go, they killed her in the draft, as we see it panned out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have our first hammer game of the day, and the Chromie gets taken out immediately. We all know what a Chromie can do against those, you know, static enemy heroes. As long as you don't go for the Saw build, full W. Don't want to do that.
No, that is true. Oops, but in this case, they just ban it away, removing it away from players like Zhuyu who might want to bring it out. Maybe even 365 if they decide to go for a supportless comp. ETC, a Wind Classic. And the Karazim, an Alufal Classic, but Alufal is playing the Phoenix. So this is going to be a 365 who's already proved that he is a more than capable Karazim.
Yeah, so the response to the Sergeant Hammer getting picked early by SPT seems to be aggression and a lot of CC with Dahaka and ETC. ETC, of course, has a cute little talent called Block Party at level 1, which could be very useful against Sergeant Hammer.
So instead we're seeing a little bit of burst and crowd control here coming in. Void Prism, the potential for Mighty Gust. This is all shutting down the potential for a Mosh Pit. Really wants to punish any chance of diving onto the Sergeant Hammer. Right now, this draft looks pretty hard to assail by SPT, so we're finishing off with Li Ming. CE's entire draft looks like it is meant to be a juggernaut. It moves forwards. If it's able to keep moving forwards, it will win. If at any point it is stopped, I'm going to sense issues because it's going to take them a while to get back up and running again.
The thing is, though, SPT has a couple of tools to slow down the juggernaut, although it still remains to be seen whether they can stop it entirely, but tools like the VP, the Void Prison, the Mighty Gust coming in there as well could very well be the tools they need to basically, you know, get those CE members away into a safe distance from Sergeant Hammer. We could, on the contrary, also see a more aggressive style to execute this. I mean, RPG has shown us the power of the Hinterland Blast, so maybe if they want to go for a quick crackling wombo combo with the BFG, the Hinterlands Blast after the VP expires, that could be a way to actually turn things around and blast down the people of CE.
And they're against a Karazim, aka everyone group up for heals. Oh, we appear to be in a green orb. How did this happen? Yep. This isn't where we want to be. But yes, that extra healing from Karazim is reasonable, but it sets you up for potential wombos, so you have to be very quick and very efficient with your group healings.
Yeah, and the question remains, right? What is Karazim going to go for in that game? Is it going to be the Divine Palm again that we've seen earlier? Or is he going to try to put full aggression mode into or onto Misaka, right? Because we all know how aggressive certain Muradin players like to play. Dwarf toss in, try to keep the enemy team occupied and bait all the attention onto you. But when there's a 7-sided Karazim, that could really backfire if no other heroes, like a Zeratul, for example, jump into the breach and absorb a couple of those hits.
Excellent point. So now, with the double global, one for each team, Falstad versus Dahaka, there is the potential for, obviously, objective sniping. We've seen Zeratools also sneaking opponents' objectives when they try to invade. So even if SPT are behind, you have to keep an eye out onto your own objectives, because Zeratul is a sneaky little Protoss. And overall, looking at these two drafts, Kendrick, who do you prefer?
So the thing is, we all know how Sergeant Hammer compositions can work, and we all know how much work they've done in China. I think the win ratio of those compositions, especially when executed by top-tier teams like SPT, is still pretty high. So I think I'm leaning slightly towards SPT. I think their tools are looking very strong, good protection for the hammer, and I'm not sure if the aggression from CE is strong enough to actually contest that.
Well, let's see if Kendrick is right as we load into game number 2. SPT on the left with Lucky on Falstad, Melisi on the Sergeant Hammer, Misaka on the Muradin, Soap on Zeratul, and ZZH is playing Deckard Cain.
And challenging them once again is CE, with Alufal on that Phoenix, Wind on the ETC, 365 is playing Karazim, KTY on that Dahaka this time around, and Juyu on Li Ming. Now, also, what I'm a little worried about, Tetcher, when looking at those drafts is the role of ETC. ETC as a main tank hasn't really been working out in China as of late. Other warriors, excuse me. Look at that aggressive engagement onto Misaka. If any other hero had been there without an escape, that would have been first blood for sure. But yeah, back to the ETC. He doesn't even go for block parties, so no physical damage reduction coming in for allies against Sergeant Hammer. He goes for the normal proc rock.
So here was my initial thoughts when this draft started. Ooh, it's Wind on ETC. I'm actually really excited. This used to be his best hero before he started picking up the Garrosh. I expect this could just be a cheeky win and a nice little nostalgia fest. Oh, Sergeant Hammer and Zeratul are here. I don't know how they're going to win this. You know what? I'm still going to go for ETC. So that was my thought process as the draft happened. I don't know how they're going to do it. But Wind on CE is like JPL and Stitches to me. It just wins. You never really... Sometimes you can't really tell how it's going to before the draft starts. But it just does. And as such, I'm going to put my faith in Wind's ETC. I don't even know if it's going to be a stage dive or a mosh pit right now. I'm going to say probably stage dive because knockback from Hammer, sleep from Deckard Cain, Storm Bolts, Mighty Gust, etc., etc., etc. But it is still going to be pretty decent in terms of the stage dive. That's another global, which means that Falstad is always going to be under threat.
Yeah, and it also doesn't have to be a global all the time, right? It can also be used as an aggressive engagement tool, because if you use it from a safe distance, you cannot be stopped. And you're going to have that guaranteed engagement onto the Sergeant Hammer with a super good slow actually coming up right after. And that could very well be the, the first initial step that your follow-up CC heroes like the Dahaka, like Li Ming to a certain extent with that range on her abilities, what they need, right? And Li Ming in particular is going to have a really tough time, I feel like, reaching the Sergeant Hammer if she doesn't hit her abilities from a hidden angle. On Towers of Doom, there's only so much room you have available. There's only so many angles you can come from. Julia trying to dodge the Storm Bolt, does it successfully here.
And that is good. Keeps himself fine for the moment, but Melisi drops a single shell onto Juyu and forces him to back up, as is Wind. Hammer very safe here, not actually going for building sieging, just moving slowly forward, slowly whittling down structures here. CE going to be able to steal this mercenary camp. Lucky spots it, decides maybe I don't want to deal with it because there are 2 members of the enemy team here and they will be outnumbered. Finally, Melody C is actually able to siege up onto the structures. As we see ZZH, no tank actually here, because Muradin is hiding, waiting for a gank opportunity, so it has to fall to the support to tank those shots.
Yeah, standard build coming in from Sergeant Hammer, by the way. Ambush with that extra damage and the invisibility into siege tactics to have that unstoppable effect against enemy crowd control. Speaking of crowd control, they really tried to lock down Juyu on that Liming. Barely survives. And look at the aggressive invasion coming in from CE.
My.
Are they going to get soap? No, the range just isn't there for the Haka yet. But they're really trying to get those...
Steal.
Oh, okay.
They got the 2-for-1
Good
by
steal.
raiding the opponents. They almost got soap, but they got soap as well. That would have been huge. I think we didn't sell that as well as it could have been.
Yeah.
As we didn't really realize what just happened. Soap nearly died trying to defend his own team side objective. And as such, he did survive, which is good news for SPT, but it still made it a 2-for-1 in favor of CE, who just completely abandoned bot lane because it was against the Sergeant Hammer and would have been an absolute nightmare to raid into pre-heroics, and instead guaranteed themselves the more advantageous cap.
As you said, it's not the go-to play on Towers of Doom, right? Normally there's a lot of attention onto the bottom half on the altar there. Look at Alufal getting rooted, but no follow-up damage here. Misaka, Dwarfs tosses to safety. Takes a lot of damage from Juyu and the full combo, followed by Karazim. But yeah, as you said, very unpredictable movement pattern by CE, secured themselves the double altar, and as such, you know, while that is by no means a game-winning move, it is definitely a good start, you know, to keep the enemy team under pressure. Both teams now taking care of the zappers.
On the siege now available for Sergeant Hammer, who is going to drop the siege tactics very early. Nice stun by Muradin to prevent the power slide onto Merlisi, who realized the siege tactics would expire and had to boost away. So we see the camps, one taken for each team. CE, their lanes actually pushed up against them a little bit, so they have to be careful. Alufal gets CC'd by the root, very patiently holds his teleport so he's not interrupted, and now is prepared to turn around and try and drop some damage. But with Sergeant Hammer here, they're losing their Sapper camp here. This is going to be annoying because the enemy Sapper camp is very healthy. They're going to have to waste time burning this down. Looks like they might just try and make a 1-for-1 trade this time just because of the amount of pressure on their bot lane.
I think so too.
Are SPT going to let it happen?
Oh, is Soap going to try to find a sneaky interrupt here? KTY is trying to do the same thing, dodging the Storm Bolt. Okay. Very nicely done. But yeah, in that previous engagement, by the way, you could really see how patient pro players are when it comes to using their abilities, right? You could really see how Alufal was trapped in that root, but didn't panic, didn't try to use an early teleport. Instead, his support, 365, landed first the Earth Ally, then got the heal, and then allowed Alufal to teleport out to safety. So really cool to see how patient and well calculated some of those escape mechanisms are used by pro teams like CE.
So with both teams, once again, starting to stabilize a bit. XP wise, it's pretty even between the two teams. Holding it together. Only advantage here is the 4-shot advantage for CE, as there's been an even number of towers and someone has to be in the lead. As we do see KTY trying to turn it around here, looking for Soap. Falstad also in trouble. Able to barrel roll over the wall though. As Wind shows up, he would have been potentially the fight ender there, with Falstad choosing to end the fight himself early by leaving it.
Right, CE starting over this top Zapper camp here. They should know, though, that SPT is still close, right? They had minion vision here. Alufal needs to be careful not to get caught again by yet another Storm Bolt. The drag is good. The follow-up damage is even better. Wind now trying to peel for his backlane, especially 365 on the support is very low. Mercenary camp goes over. The drag is good.
Good drag. And Karazim damage, is it enough? 365 dives deep, but the shield from Deca K keeps alive. 365 is punished. Down he goes. Here comes the counter attempt onto Falstad. Good power slide, and they get the counter kill. Also with the face spell interrupting ZZH's stay of one, and this as they move forward. No heroics finally, but in the heroics with the stage dive does not really land, but is still able to turn around onto Misaka and take him down too.
And that is, of course, another point we haven't actually talked about, Tetcher. The synergy between Stage Dive Slow and Purification Salvo. It's relatively easy to land this combo as well because you have that big wind-up time until ETC drops. We're actually going to take another look at that teamfight here. Misaka going super deep. Falstad also taking so much damage. Needs to barrel roll to safety. But here, look at the value coming in from the Earth Ally on Karazim as well, blocking so many auto attacks by Zeratul and Falstad.
And Misaka with that lovely jump, able to keep himself alive. The shield from Deckard, and that forced that dive from 365 to just be too deep. Now then, the Stay One Listen once again interrupted by the face melt. Falstad taken out, and after that lovely isolation from Dahaka, that was the end of the fight as Misaka. And what, sorry? As we see them pushing in as best as they can. Melody C takes out the Fallen, takes out the Sapper Camps, puts on a little bit of pressure for the moment. We see the pressure being added to the mid lane as quick as possible. As we... I just realized what Kendrick said, never mind. As we see Darker in the top lane, laning up against the Falstad for the moment as Juyu, a little bit of damage, 7-sided drop potentially preemptively onto Misaka, thinking he might stay around for the kill onto Juyu, but it does not happen. As Juyu's able to back up here. These Sappers will make it in, or at least one of them will. The other two actually zoned out by Wind very aggressively. Here comes the damage from Juyu. He will clean up the second one, so only one of those Sappers actually does make it in. As we see everyone else, Falstad has already rotated down to mid lane to soak the experience, as Phoenix was pushing this up, and that forces Falstad to pull double laning duty versus 2 heroes. Double laning duty versus 1 hero is the most efficient, but double lane versus 2 heroes means you can actually lose XP because the wave clear can very much go against you. But for now, it is time for a single altar phase.
Single altar phase indeed, and Melody C is trying to creep up here with that BFG landing hugely against Zuyu, and it looks like they can run away from that one.
Nice little nap time here. Gust used on a Luful, zones him away, but the silence is good. Misaki focused down, but 365 in serious danger. Gets taken out by Lucky here. Win stage dives into the back line, but it's still a 4 versus 3. Only a Luful alive in terms of damage. Teleports back to his team here, and I don't think Prog Rock is actually done yet. Actually, no, it looks like it is done. But either way, that's still 4 versus 3. This is not going to go over to CE, and with that, SPT, they're still going to be behind in shots, but they've only made it so they're 4 points behind instead of the 6 points they were behind earlier. Yeah,
now the question is, of course, can they actually hold that bell tower, right? Sergeant Hammer's in a super safe position there in the back. Rough. KTY is getting chunked down, but here comes the side.
Oh, the blow-up attempt onto Lucky, but he's tanking through thanks to those potions. But that much damage is a great dissuader. Oh, we may not have killed you, but we very nearly did. Are you sure you want to stay? No, because we can do that again. Didn't put a single heroic for it. Okay, cool. Didn't think so.
Mergen is going to watch that. They have a scout here, so SPT knows exactly what C is trying to do. ETC actually went back to base, so they don't have a real frontliner here to keep the enemy team at bay. But good thing that KTY caused a little bit of distraction with that burrow.
Gust is used, forcing them all into a corner. Melly C sieging up. 7-sided gets a little bit of damage, but not too much. However, the drag is gorgeous by KTY, and that picks up the kill onto Falstad. In the meantime, though, Zeratul was split soaking, so no XP lead is gained here by CE. Instead, they're going to try and gain a lead via this Sapper Cap to try and push into the front towers against Melly C, and then grab this second Sapper Camp to see if they can start getting some damage onto the bell tower. Not happening, though, because Melly C has already cleaned up the first set of Sappers, and now CE, they have to try and empower this one.
Oh, the roots are good, buying a little bit of more time there. Look at the knockback, too, coming in.
Well. They make it in, though.
Oh, they got one. Okay, so the gate stands for now.
One tower, at least for the moment. Yeah, so they killed off one of them, saved the gate. Not a bad job. Triple altar phase now, though.
Triple altar phase, Tetcher, you said it, and that's going to be a little hard to hold for SPT here. Not only do they lack the global presence of a Dehaka, Lucky is actually nailed down here on that left-hand side. Can't really use his global, otherwise KTY would have an easy interrupt. So let's see who's going to be there first. Falstad still under pressure a little bit, but they turn around. Zeratul getting blinded, getting absolutely shut down. The VP for good measure. The Salvo's still going to hit him, though.
Oh! Salvo will get the kill, but I did not know that VP worked on 7-sided if you catch the body of Karazim in it.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. That is fascinating. And also, can I just say how cool it has been that CE has basically contested every single objective to this point, bar the first one in the bot lane, as they kill off Deckard. Thanks to that stage dive, Misaka makes it over the wall, but this is going to be the triple cap for CE, the dream, as they bring SPT down to 12 health on the core.
Yeah, and that was the beauty of that play by CE as well. Whereas SPT relied on their global to actually take an altar, CE's global was there to contest it. So they had the much more aggressive position there, CE, that is, they could have made those plays happen. They forced the attention of Zeratul as well. They pressured him so much with a good isolation. 7-sided fully connecting onto Murden, and he gets blown to pieces. This is now an uncontested boss and 4 more shots against SPT.
Yeah, I mean, Falstad could have maybe attempted the Gust play, but that would have been so Hail Mary as we see the extra shots. Because the fact is, Falstad's now needed. If he was to die now, trying to make a sneaky play on that boss, there's a chance that he might not be available, and Gust especially might not be available for the next objective. And guess what? It's a double ultra phase. Guess how much core health SPT has? 8. Which means the next ultra phase is lethal if SPT aren't able to capture at least one of them.
Now look at the health of the bottom bell tower here for CE. It's still relatively weakened from that siege earlier, and as such, SPT, they're trying to maybe put a little bit of a structural advantage here onto that bottom lane, but CE, they realize exactly that. If we lose that bell tower, we're no longer going to have that healing fountain, which allows us to potentially draw back and come back later for those altars, and most importantly, we're not gonna get the full amount of shots in. So strong rotations as a countermeasure coming in from SP and from CE and SPT. They are a little desperate here right now. They need to get at least one altar or it's going to be lights out, not only in this game, but also in the entire series.
Misaka holds his line there, takes a lot of damage, but second wind and third wind, in fact, online to keep him alive. CE begin to take up position aggressively. They would love to contest both here. Dahaka is tunneling in. He has arrived. They know, they've pinged it, they heard the sound effect. Yep. But now, no one is starting on bot lane at the moment. Neither team going for it. Nice knockback, interrupting the drag. See, KTY immediately moves to bot lane. They're going to try and interrupt Zeratul here. Or they might even ignore it. No, they are going to interrupt Zeratul here, and they still want to contest both of these. This is a full commitment to try and end the game here by CE. Little scuffle in the bot lane that's been kind of ignored. Soap was dropped low. 365 begins his channel.
Channel's almost through.
Give up here. It goes through. SPT give it up and commit to mid lane instead. They need to rotate and begin working on this. We see Misaka diving onto a Luful, trying to buy his team some time to try and maybe cap this. So moves up, but the snipe by Zuyu picks up the kill. Zuyu goes even deeper, but he gets detonated here by the Zeratul and by Lucky. The stay on listen is good, but is 4 versus 4. The VP is good. Just go channel. Someone just channel it from SPT as they drop good damage to follow up to the VP. But Alufal teleports away. He's so low, he will get taken out. SPT look like they are finally going to win a fight. Way of 100 bits, not enough to finish off Zeratul. Down he goes. And not only will they finish off KTY, they finish off the bell tower. And SPT are going to gain 5 shots.
A big play coming in here by SPT. Not only did they manage to get that one altar, as he said, Tetra, but also were they able to stabilize in terms of finally finding a good footing in that team fight. And it all started with Juyu going for that aggressive play. True, you get the resets, you get the kill, but if your whole team then has to commit to saving you, they bring themselves in an unadvantageous position, you're going to end up falling regardless. I'm not sure if Karzim had the 7-side already in that team fight. I think it came off cooldown in his death. So yeah.
He'd already used it, I think.
Yeah, he'd already used it earlier. So really good, reaction time this time coming in from SPT, realizing, after Zhui, we're going to continue collapse on the right targets, even bringing down the indomitable KTY, and they're now trying to gain full map control with as many bell towers in their possession as possible.
They really are. They're going to take down mid fairly easily. They're now rotating down to bot to try and defend bot, as it's the most important one for them. As Li Ming has already started burning that down. Win survives here. Ooh, Lucky finishes Season Marksman.
Yeah, he finished that one. So more sustained damage coming in from the Falstad now, supporting the Melody Seed damage on the Sergeant Hammer. And 365, man, with those dashes, with those radiant dashes, you need to be so careful, because all it takes is one stun by Muradin, one VP maybe trapping you in a really rough spot, and you're gonna initiate yet another wave of staggered deaths. So what CE needs to do right now is A, take the mercenaries away, I like that, and also take back those structures at any given cost.
Also, don't die. That is number one priority right now.
Exactly.
Single altar phase, CE, there's no way they're going to be able to take back both bell towers here, so it might even be worth giving this one up and just stabilizing, making their way towards level 20. Yeah. Just grab it, using the opportunity to maybe just grab both bell towers, let Dahaka keep pushing in top lane. So he's got a mercenary camp mostly cleared up there. They should be able to grab both the bell towers back and maybe neutralize the shots at least.
Like, so, all they need to do...
Safe play.
All they need to do at this point is just wait for a better situation to pick a fight, right? 20 is going to be there anyways. They're not really that far behind in terms of experience. And a one altar phase is the best case scenario for SPT, right? Because that means they're not going to have to spread themselves out. They can accumulate all their forces into one location, and they're not going to have to worry about getting backdoored, with another altar. So CE, they're just going to wait for another altar phase, maybe a triple, maybe a double altar phase, and they're going to wait to get that level 20 in there as well. Now with level 20, though, speaking of which, we have the Orbital BFG going live.
That's really, really bad news for CE. They're going to be able to take back this bottom bell tower eventually, thanks to Zuyu, but he's going to pull back for mana here. But
it hits
middle. BFG is hitting mid and top. That is a nightmare. 2 lanes under constant pressure. Boss, however, is up. Bottom bell tower is ripe for the picking, and it is a double altar phase coming up next. Dahaka is also going to be able to finish off top lane, assuming Alufal does not die here. This is still a pretty decent situation. Looks like Dahaka not going to finish off top. He's going to actually need some help. Need to clean up another minion wave. But this is great. The Gust has to be used. They're going to make the Sappers go in. Nice setup by Alufal to keep himself alive. 2 Sappers make it in there. 18 health on the core. But it's still not enough. Dahaka takes down a bell tower. This is now lethal on the board. They can take back bot bell tower. That's going to be more than lethal, in fact. With double bell tower being an option, boss always being an option, CE, even with bell tower, still not in their control, which Zuyu will just take back now with maybe some issues. They are in the position that they need to win the game. 365 and KTY are going to start the boss.
That's exactly what we were talking about earlier, Tesha, right? CE, all they needed to do was wait for a better situation. I don't think SPT even realized.
That's it. They're far too slow. Yeah. They're far too slow. They can't rotate. Farsight's flying in, but he cannot get there in time. He arrives, gets the gust, but it's not in time. And that is going to be GG. And CE, with the nice endgame decision, they are able to take game number 2 and the full 3 points.
Ladies and gentlemen, a masterclass in patience and just waiting for the right moment to win the game. Instead of forcing a team fight in the bottom, for example, to get that bell tower back, or to keep the mercenaries at bay, CE realized, what are those mercenaries going to do to us? 2-3 core damage? We don't care about that. We have enough in the bank to basically tank and survive that anyways. So all we're going to do is we're going to keep the enemies at bay, at least a little bit. We're going to keep them occupied. We're going to wait for that second, for that double altar play. And then when there's 2 altars that could kill them and the boss, it's impossible for SPT to be everywhere at the same time. So although it looked goofy, right? Not anyone from SPT even scouting it out or even trying to contest it. There was just too many objectives. They couldn't take care of all of them at the same time.
The boss was the primary one, though. That should have absolutely been an obvious scout. Like, Falstad should have been up there significantly faster because he is the control, he is the global there. The fact that they didn't at least check it is a concern to me.
Yeah. Maybe they had given up mentally already, saying, okay, that's it, guys. We can't really do that. Or they were oblivious. And in that case, that speaks for a little bit of a lack of map awareness for SPT that they could work on in the future. As it is, though, Tetcher, whoever this mysterious figure in CE's booth is, whether it's really Zeron from Team Gluck in Korea, or whether it's someone else, looks like he did his job very well, because CE taking down SPT in a very clean series at that, countering them very well, especially in drafts. Once again, I think their drafting has improved so much, is definitely a big step towards securing a good position in those playoffs.
Completely agreed. Very impressed by CE, by Challenge. They're looking like almost a different team. It's the same team, same heroes, but played better. Not played over aggressively, not played too passively. It's just solid. I have no complaints about that. And as such, with that 2-0, CE, they move up to 25 points. They are 2 points behind Super Perfect Team, which means if CE can 2-0 RPG, they will move up to 28. Which means CE's hopes of sneaking away, like snatching away a second place, are now in the hands of Beyond the Game.
And you know what? If I was SPT at this moment and I looked at my schedule and I would see Beyond the Game out of all the teams coming up next, I would be, dang it, why couldn't it be, the A teams? Why couldn't it be Team Nut? It had to be Beyond the Game.
Why don't I get RPG last? But even RPG last at this point is still quite scary.
I absolutely agree.
Very nicely done by CE. That match, this SPT BTG match, will be coming up as match number 4 for the day. But we still have 4 more matches for the day. That was only match number 2, Kendrick, out of our 6-match format. And right now, what's coming up next is potentially going to be what I am going to call the nail in the coffin for well, not the nail in the coffin, the final brick in the house, the palace of first place that the one maybe have been building for themselves here. They are at 31 points. If they win, they are at 34.
Yeah.
A full